Of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. The parable of the Good Samaritan is one of Jesus' most famous, and rightly so. It is autobiographical, as I've said before, meaning it depicts what Jesus has done for the whole human race, that is, for each one of us. But today I want to zoom in a little bit on a small detail that we hear about. Jesus says that Samaritan used wine and oil to heal the wounds of the man who was a victim. And so why wine and oil? Well, those would have been things that everybody would have carried as they traveled. Wine to drink on the way, oil to put on your bread and to eat. But they also had a medicinal value in those days. And St. Luke, who wrote the gospel, would have known this because he was a physician. And so the Samaritan used the wine to disinfect and clean the wound, and then he used the oil to soothe and strengthen those parts of the man's body that was harmed. And so he needed both. If he would have used wine without oil, it would have left a bitter sting. If he would have used oil without wine, he might have caused an infection. And so wine and oil is what he used to dress that man's wounds. And we can see this as a symbol of how Jesus, the divine physician, heals our souls. He combines the wine of judgment with the oil of mercy, because he knows that too much harshness can cause people to become discouraged, but too much kindness can lull people into complacency. And we see this in the gospel today. The scribe who came to test Jesus, Jesus clearly corrected this man with the parable, but he did so in a very gentle and winsome way. We don't know if it worked. Hopefully it did, but we're not sure. The story doesn't tell us. But this is how we also ought to help people today, because there are a lot of people that are wounded because of societal norms or their own moral choices that are not good. And so we need to combine the wine of truth with the oil of love if we are going to help people and to bring them to healing. This is what Pope Leo said, even recently, shortly after his election. He told a group of diplomats, he said, "The church can never be exempted from speaking the truth." And he said, this means at times using blunt language, even if it's initially misunderstood, because truth and love must always go together. I said this before, truth without love is cruelty, and love without truth is abandonment. So we need both truth and love to be able to address people's wounds. And I'll just share one story, and you could probably have your own stories of how you've done this before. But one time, several years ago, somebody called me up, and it was a young woman. She says, "Father, I just got engaged. Then I was wondering if you would marry my fiance and I at this outdoor venue." So I told her, "Congratulations on your engagement. Why don't you bring your fiance in and we'll talk about it?" So they came in to my office. We got to know each other a little bit better. Then I finally got around to telling him the answer, which was, I can't do that. It's not permitted ordinarily to have a wedding outside of the church. And I explained the reasons for that. And then I told her, I said, "But I could marry you guys at this beautiful church that we have." And I said, "Why don't you go home, think about it, and call me back?" And so they did. They called back and they said, "All right, we'll do the marriage in the church, the wedding in the church." And I was like, oh, great, this is a success. Not every time are we successful in what we do, but neither was Jesus always successful. We're not called to be successful. We're called to be faithful. We're called to combine the wine of truth with the oil of love to help heal people's souls and their wounds in life. And one final thing, the best example of this is the Blessed Virgin Mary. She was, of course, a lover, is, of course, a lover of the truth, but she is all mercy and compassion. She's got that motherly gentleness about her. And so she knows how to help people in their different needs. And so if we ever have a situation where we need to use truth and love and with patience and prudence, we can ask Mary to intercede for us at that moment. All right, I would like to make a few announcements now so we don't have to do them later.